Hey everybody, it's Mac here, and we are going to work on problems, the dreaded word problems. I actually have a lot of fun with these. Don't let it freak you out once you start seeing words. Just take it slowly, try to figure out what they're saying, and after I do a few of these problems, I think you'll start to get the hang of these. These are kind of fun. They're nice little puzzles. There's two equations you have to come up from one of these from just reading one of these. And so after I walk you through a few, you'll probably be able to figure out how to find them out for yourselves. So let's just start with the first one right here. Before we get going on, just remember that you can find all this stuff at maxtutorials.com. So please go there. I have lots of math, and anytime you like or subscribe to these videos, it really helps me out, okay? So a movie theater sold 120 tickets. Stop there. How many? 120. 120 what? 120 movie tickets. Okay. Adult tickets cost $10. Student tickets cost $6. Okay. And the theater collected 960. How many of each? So when I take a look at this, I know that there's 120 tickets. Okay, but there's different types of tickets. There's the adult and there's the student. So if I take all of the adult tickets and I add to that number all of the student tickets, how many tickets total? 120. That's my first equation, okay? Now for the second equation, if you see we have all these dollar signs. So let's put a dollar figure to it. Adult tickets are 10. So let's go 10A, okay? Student tickets are 6. So let's go 6S. And hopefully that doesn't look too much like 65. I don't like S's in word problems. I don't like T's. I don't like L's. I don't like O's. I think that they should all be banned. Okay, anyways. And the total, when we add the dollar figure, that ended up being $960, okay? So now if you notice, this is just like an elimination problem that we've worked on before, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the top and I'm going to multiply it by, well, I can go -10 or -6 because that will eliminate one of these. I'm going to go 6 just because it's smaller. And I'm going to get -6A minus 6S equals -720, okay? And then I'm just going to copy the bottom. It's always good to line them up. That equals 960. Boom. They die. I'm left with 4A equals 960 minus 720 is 240. Once I divide each by 4, I'm going to get A equals 60. Okay, so that means the adult tickets were 60. So what would the students be? Well, if you go back, look at this first original problem. All I can do is, now that I know what A is, I just plug in A for that. So instead of A, I'm going to write 60 plus the student tickets will equal 120. And once I subtract 60 from both sides, you're going to notice that my student tickets will equal 60. Hey, look at that, it's equal. 60 adults, 60 students all together came in, okay? And that's how we would do the first one. The next one, let's see if we can come up with two equations on this. A farmer has chickens and cows totaling 40 animals. Really? They have to do... And then we get the chickens and cows. They both start with C, so that's no fun. A farmer has chickens and cows totaling 40 animals. Stop right there. The number of chickens plus the number of cows equal 40. Well, this one's going to be weird. So I'm just going to do X equals chicken and Y is going to equal cows. Okay. So if I take the number of chickens and I add the number of cows, I got 40 animals. All right. There are 124 legs altogether. How many chickens and cows are they? Okay. Well, let's take the chicken right now. How many legs does a chicken have? 2. Okay. And then I'm going to add to that, how many legs does a cow have? 4. So I'm going to times that by 4. How many legs altogether? 124. See, the first one was a little more practical. I don't know how practical this one is. I guess unless they're trying to, a market for like chicken feet and, I don't know, do we eat cow hooves? I'm not sure. I don't think that's a delicacy, but I don't know why we would need to know this. But if I take a look at the top, I'm going to multiply the top by a -2. Because if I do that, I'm going to be able to cancel out my x's. So I'm going to get a -2x minus 2y equals a -80. And I'm just going to copy this one down because it just makes the math a little bit easier, even though I'm a little worried about running out of room. Okay, I might redo this one to give us more room. So I'm going to get a 2y equals, now what is 124 minus 80? 124 minus 80, that's a 4, it's 44. Divided by 2, y equals 22. So here's one thing I know. I know that there are 22 what? Cows. Okay? And so if I know there's 22 cows, that's my Y. My X is chickens plus my 22 cows is going to equal 40 animals. Once I subtract them, the 22. Sorry, I'm going to make that look a little bit better. Minus 22. I'm going to get X equals 18 chickens. 18 chickens, 22 cows. There we go. Okay? All right. Boy, I really did not give a lot of space. I should have made this a 2-page problem. Anyways. Okay, on number 3, two numbers add the 42. Well, if I have two numbers, I don't know what they are. I'm just calling them X and Y. So if I take my X and I add my Y, they're going to equal 42. The next sentence, one number is 6 more than the other. Okay, so whatever X is, okay, I know that my Y is going to be 6 more. So X is going to be Y plus 6. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, once I know that my X equals Y plus 6, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to plug it into X, and I'm going to end up getting Y plus 6 plus Y equals 42, or 2Y plus 6 equals 42. Or once I subtract 6, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to get 2Y equals 36. And when I divide this by 2, my Y equals 18. Okay, so that's one number. Once I find that number, I have to find the other number. And so that's going to be it's going to be 6 more, which would be a 24. So my X would be 24. And when I add that up, do they add up to 42? They sure do. Look, one's 6 more than the other, and they add up to 24. We found our answer. Very nice. Okay, let's go on to the next one. A concert sold 150 tickets. Floor seats are $25 and balcony seats are $15. Total sales were 3,150. How much of each ticket were sold? Well, what are the types? There's the balcony, and the balconies were $25. And there's the balcony was 25. Sorry, floor was 25. My apologies. And the balconies was 15. Okay. So what I know is the concert sold 150 tickets. That's 150 floor and balconies. So when I take my floors and I add my balconies, I sold a total of 150 tickets. Now let's put a dollar value to them. If I take each floor ticket and I times it by $25, and I add that to all my balcony seats, which are going to have $15 attached to it, I sold how much? 3,150. All right, so what am I going to do? Let's go ahead and times the top by a negative 15, okay? Because that's just a way for me to keep my numbers as small as possible. All right, I'm going to pull up my handy-dandy calculator because this is one that we want to use a calculator for. And we're going to go 15F, negative 15F, I'm sorry, minus 15B equals whatever is going to be a negative, whatever 15 times 150 is. And my calculator says it's 2,250. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy the next problem. It just makes it easier to see them up and down. So I'm just going to copy 3150 and boom. And so they die, and I get a 10F equals whatever those two numbers are. So now I'm going to subtract them, and I'm going to get 900, a positive 900. And then once I divide each by 10, my floor seats, and make sure that you keep that F there, that's going to end up being 90 floor seats. Okay, now just plug it in the original. I'm going to write 90 for F plus B equals 150. Subtract 90 from both sides. Okay, and my balcony would be 60. Okay, so 60 balcony seats, 90 floor seats. Okay, a school sold 85 raffle tickets. Student tickets cost $4, adult tickets cost $7. School collected $430. Very similar problem, okay? The raffles, we have adult and the student. Okay, so we have the student tickets plus the adult tickets. All together, how many raffle tickets? 85. Now let's put a dollar to them. Student tickets were $4. Plus, that's a S, not a 5. I know, I hate using S's in word problems. And T's also because they look like pluses. And O's because they look like zeros. So anyways, the adult tickets are going to be $7 each. So we're going to go 7A. And how much money? 430. All right, let's do it. We're going to multiply this. Let's go by a -4, because if I do that, it'll match up my 4s. This will be an elimination problem. -4s minus 4a equals whatever 4 times 85 is, which is 340. It'll be a -340. All right, I'm just going to copy the rest over. I'm just going to add them up. The s's die, and I'm left with a 3a equals, what is that, 90. Okay, and then once I do that, I end up getting 30 as my adult tickets. Now I need to know the students. Well, I know that if I take, looking from this first equation right here, if I take the student tickets and I add the adult tickets, which happen to be 30, that's all going to equal 85. So once I subtract 30 from both sides, my student tickets are going to equal 55. Is 55 plus 30 85? They sure are. That's my answer. All right, I got one more here to do. Okay. So on this one, a parking lot contains cars and motorcycles totaling 32 vehicles. There are 98 wheels altogether. How many cars and motorcycles are there? Okay, well, the first one, cars and motorcycles equal 32. So we'll just go C plus M equals 32. Hopefully that one you can see right away. The next one is going to be, there are 98 wheels altogether. Well, for every car, we're going to give it 4 wheels. We're going to add 2 times the motorcycles because they have 2 wheels. And altogether, there are 98 wheels. Now, you can probably see that this is set up perfectly to be an elimination problem. So I'm going to times this, that's a parenthesis, by a -2. Why? Because I can kill the m's that way. And I'm going to get a -2c minus 2m equals, what is that, -64. And then I get a 4c plus a 2m equals 98. Add it all together, and I get a 2c equals, oh boy, what would 98 minus 64 be? That would be a 34, wouldn't it? And then I'm going to divide each by 2. C equals 17. There are 17 cars. Now I'm going to plug it into that original equation. My 17 cars plus my motorcycles equal 32. I'm going to subtract 17 from both sides. Boom, die. M equals 15. 15 motorcycles, 17 cars. Okay? I actually find these kind of fun to do, and I hope that you did too. And so there's 6 problems right there. If you feel good, that's great. Move on. But we have more problems to do in version B and version C. So look at those as well, and hopefully you'll feel really good about these word problems.